The arrival of the FIFA World Cup trophy to Kenya as part of the African tour ushered in an occasion of song and dance and a sense of good feeling across the country.
Today is a day of celebration. Today is a day for us to be proud. Today is a day for us to remember that we still have a chance to one day enter that great field and participate in a World Cup tournament.
But the country's ambitions for the World Cup qualifications have been on a free fall. Just recently, the country lost hosting rights for the 2018 African Nation Championship. The Football Federation, however, maintains their World Cup dreams are still valid.
We have been dreaming, but we had never woken up to work towards the dream. So the dreams were just empty dreams. But I can tell you since 2 years ago, we dreamt, stopped the dream, picked up the tools, and started going to work.
The country's football team has never qualified for the World Cup. Their most memorable continental achievement was an appearance at the 2004 African Cup of Nations in Tunisia. And after 3 visits by the FIFA World Cup trophy, the team now says they may not wait for longer to feature in the World Football Bonanza.
We need to plan well. Our players need to be motivated with this trophy when it's coming here to make sure that for sure next time we touch it either by qualifying for the World Cup or playing the World Cup. But we really need to work hard.
But until the hard work is put in and Kenya qualifies for the FIFA World Cup, football fans will continue lining up in the streets of Nairobi for a chance to get closer to the coveted cup by taking photos with the trophy during future visits. Saddique Shaban, CGTN, Nairobi, Kenya.
Right, to discuss the road to the World Cup and the trophies tour across Africa further, let's now go live to sports analyst Clive Kiaze. He joins us live now from Kampala, Uganda. Clive, just give us an indication what the mood is in the Ugandan capital ahead of the arrival of the World Cup trophy.
Well, currently I would say the mood is still dull, the mood is still low, much as there is a lot of publicity that is going on, especially on TV stations, on radio stations, in the newspapers. But when you try to go on the streets, talk to people and know that everyone is going about with their business. We live in a community, or we live in a country where people have really lost a lot of hope. There isn't really a lot of excitement. All that Ugandans are thinking of is the next day. I have to go to work, I have to make money, I have to pay rent, I have to pay bills, I have to send my kids to school and all that. Maybe when the trophy finally arrives in the country, we will have a change of atmosphere, we will have a change of environment. Maybe then the hype will be up there, the excitement will be around. But currently, I would say the mode is normal. Everybody is going about with their business, not really worried about the World Cup trophy coming to Uganda.
And Clive, for a country like Kenya that has never qualified for the World Cup and had to wait nearly 4 decades for a return to the Africa Cup of Nations, does the trophy tour in any way probably keep their World Cup dreams alive?
Well, I don't really think it keeps the World Cup dreams alive. I mean, we've seen the countries that qualify for the World Cup and the things they do to qualify for the World Cup. I want to say they do the right things, the things we don't do. They have structures in place, their administration is top-notch, their leagues are competitive, their clubs are competitive on the continent. They are professional players who come back and probably give that professional touch and element that help them qualify for the World Cup. You have the World Cup trophy, yes, coming or touring all these countries. Personally, I want to believe it's a promotional stunt for FIFA to help and popularize the World Cup. Make it popular in the locals. We all know the World Cup Trophy Tour, FIFA is partnering with their official beverage company. I also want to believe it's also another promotional stunt for that beverage company. We already know that they are the most probably popular drink in the world. So I'd want to look at it in that angle. FIFA and their partners or sponsors are using the World Cup trophy, first of all, to popularize the World Cup, which is a good thing, but also the beverage company trying to use the World Cup trophy tour to make their brand more popular. Because yes, we've had the World Cup going to Nigeria. They will be there soon. Currently in South Africa, it has been to Kenya. It's coming to Uganda. But I mean, the presence of the World Cup, I don't see how in any way it gives a Ugandan footballer hope that one day I will be at the World Cup. Well, it gives a Ugandan football excitement. It gives a Ugandan young, talented footballer excitement. It gives a Ugandan football fan excitement by going, posing next to the trophy and taking that selfie. But in terms of hope of qualifying for the World Cup, I don't see how the World Cup trophy tour gives a country like Uganda hope, especially if we are not going back to do the basic things of how football should be administered if we want to be at that level.
All right, let's talk then about the countries that did qualify to the World Cup. Of course, Senegal, Nigeria, Morocco, Tunisia, and Egypt are the teams that will be in Russia. Which of these would you say carries the hopes of the continent in Russia this summer?
Well, it depends on your definition of hope. Personally, I don't see an African team lifting the World Cup, at least not this time round. All we've been crying in the past editions is, shall we ever have an African team go past the quarterfinals? Because that's all we've managed. Cameroon in 1990, we had Senegal in 2002, and Ghana in 2010. When you look at the countries that have qualified, probably the most hungry of them all is Egypt. They haven't been at the World Cup since 1990. They have you would say that they probably have players who have performed and delivered at the big stage. You would probably want to look at Egypt and see how far they can go in trying to qualify, in trying to probably win it, or in trying to break that jinx of the quarterfinals. You look at a country like Nigeria, a country like Senegal. These are countries that have all these professional footballers all over the African continent. These are countries that would probably look at and say, yes, these are the superpowers. I believe they qualified for the World Cup because they prepared very well and they took the qualifiers seriously. But in terms of how far they can go, personally, I don't really have much hope in any of the countries that have qualified, just like in the past. But we can just probably wait and see. If you told me to pick out one, I would probably look at Egypt because, like I said, they are the most hungry compared to all the other countries, depending on the time they have spent between 1990 and now when they last qualified for the World Cup.
All right, Clive, I will hold you to that. Hopefully one of the teams does surprise all of us and goes past the quarterfinals phase. Clive Chiaze, sports analyst there, speaking to us live from Kampala, Uganda.